Hey guys, it's your girl Kizzy Rock, and yes, Kizzy Rock is my birth given name. Happy Sunday, guys. I want to say hey to all my subscribers, new as well as seasoned. I got a word for you. Happy Sunday, guys. So I'm going to brunch shortly, so I don't have too much time, but I wanted to upload this recording. I received an email from a young lady over the weekend. Very, very beautiful email. She's currently in a storm. She's been in the storm for a couple of years. She feels as if the storm is raging and there's no end in sight. She was telling me that listening to some of my recordings, she really appreciates the fact that I'm transparent when I speak about processing versus some people who only want to speak about due season, or you only see due season, right? When they're in this great season, but they kind of want to hide that processing, et cetera, as well as, my ability to encourage others versus just staying kind of just in the zone of like, I'm going to just take everything for myself, keep everything for myself. Sis, thank you for that. Truly, thank you for that email. I enjoyed reading that email and it truly, truly blessed my heart. All right. Yes, I'm very transparent. When it comes down to God using me, I truly believe, just my personal belief, that when God is using us, right, it's important to be transparent because you will meet people who are in due season or what may look like to be a blessed season, as in if everything's so perfect in their lives or whatever. And then they kind of hide this whole middle area of understanding about the seasons of transition, the seasons of processing, right? These storms and these attacks, like what you're currently in, that happens prior to due season. And I'm sure, again, people have their own reasons on why they may, because I know a couple of people, three this to the top of my mind, who are extremely successful in different areas in their lives. Successful not meaning money, but just different areas in their lives. And I know behind the scenes some of the things that they've been through. And I just think to myself all the time, and I even try to encourage them sometimes, but people have to do what they want to do in their own timing, right? And I constantly think to myself, if you just like be a little more transparent to help people understand that this hasn't always worked for you, and you had to go through some things too, and just maybe try to give them tips to help them understand some things that they can do that may shorten their storm, et cetera, right? That's about encouragement, because let me tell you, when these storms are raging, sometimes you can't even see the other side, right? You can start to see the other side as that storm starts to come to a head. But when you are in the middle, the beginning, especially the middle, the eye of the storm, you're almost blind. So sometimes you will have a hard time trying to even see that there's the other side, right? So here's the thing. And I speak about this again, but I speak about this before, I'm sorry. But I'm very well aware that, guys, please give me 1 second. I'm sorry. Let me turn this off because it's going to keep on. Well, I can't even turn it off. Hopefully it'll stop. So I speak about this a lot, but again, I'm very well aware that everyone don't listen to every recording. You got new people who come on, et cetera. Okay, so what I like to call it when I do my conferences, right, is there's the beginning, the middle, and the end, meaning the do-it-yourself season, that first season. That's the season you're doing everything on your own. You're choosing your spouses. You're choosing your college. You're choosing. Everything is based on flesh, which right? Everything that you've been taught, et cetera. Then that transitional season is about when God starts tapping you, right? Because either your way is no longer working, or He's ready to call you so you can do things the right way, His way, et cetera. But during that time, you got to be processed. You got to be processed from you, your flesh, your thinking, your upbringing, all that stuff, right? To now being transformed, which really is that middle raging season, which is probably the longest season. I don't know. Everybody's different. Definitely for myself. And then ultimately you arrive to due season, destiny season, right? But that still doesn't mean you don't go through stuff in due season. Just when I tell you, right? You're still going to go through stuff. But I'm speaking about that middle season where it seems like, I don't know what's going on. I can't see. I don't even know what God is doing. I feel, what is going on? That can be a very dangerous season, because what'll happen is, because you can't even see where you're going, and then God most times won't even allow you to go back. Like he'll kind of put barriers there. So even when you try to go back, you can't even go back. So in this season, what he's doing is he's attempting to get your attention. But because you're fighting against it, because you don't know what he's doing, and all you know is your way. Mind you, you haven't been transformed yet. All you know is your way of making things happen in a fleshly sense, right? You're doing everything in your power to try to make things happen, but it's not going to work. So now God has cut off your access of being able to make things happen in the flesh. So now you're going to fight and fight and fight and fight, because you're now like a deer in headlights. You're out in the ocean. You can't even see. You're just acting a fool. So God's going to allow you to tire yourself out. In what way? That means, again, you're trying to make everything happen on your own. That means the people that you once can go to try to get some answers, these people will somehow not be available in whatever way. The people who God is removing from your life, who cannot go to the next season, right? All these things are going to be happening at one time. So before you know it, you're probably going to lose your job, because sometimes a job can be a distraction, especially if it's the wrong job. So at this point, there's a lot of things that's falling apart. You may lose your house. You may lose your car. You're being stripped. You're being stripped to a place where God needs you literally just raw. And so at some point, you will get so tired that you just stop fighting, because you realize that there's nothing you can do. And this happens after you've done worn yourself out, because he will allow you to wear yourself out. And once you get to that place where you can no longer fight, there's nothing at all you can do in the physical fleshly realm to make things happen. You then just have to sit. You got no money, you got no friends, you got no house, you got no car. All you got is you, you and God. And that's exactly where he wants you. Because now you can hear him. You can hear him. During this time, he will start to download things into you. He's going to tell you, I got you here for a reason, because I got something better. He may not tell you at the time what that better is. You just going to have to rely on faith and obedience to know that he has something better. Why won't he show you the better? Maybe he will. Maybe he will. He showed me some things, but never in a million years that I realized how much better it is. I think sometimes he only shows you bits and pieces because it will overwhelm you, because there's process to the things that he shows you. And then you almost feel like you're unworthy of some of these things. So he's going to show you bits and pieces, but it's going to have to be your faith and your obedience to rely on what he's showing you and telling you. So what are some things that you can do during that process? One, the most important thing, whatever he's telling you to do it. Your obedience. If he's telling you to remove people, or if these people remove themselves and you want to fight to try to get it back, leave it alone. It's going to be the hardest thing, because mind you, you're broken at this point. You're broken. So what you're going to try to do, you're going to try to do everything. Because see, when you're broken, and most times people don't want to sit in a broken place, because then you're lonely, or you have to face your true, authentic self. You got to face your own demons. So what do people do? Then you pick up things to distract you, right? That's whatever you got going on. Maybe you're a marijuana smoker or weed smoker, whatever. So whatever stuff that you do to keep yourself busy, these are going to be things that he starts to remove from you, but you're going to keep trying to fight to keep these things because you don't want to sit with your own self and your own demons. But he's going to block these things. Now, you can fight against it. I mean, he'll block you, but at some point, if you don't want to listen, he'll just let you go back to it, right? But if you really want what God has for you, you're going to have to be obedient. You're going to have to trust to take steps of obedience, even when it doesn't make sense, even when it's uncomfortable. So whatever he's telling you to remove, things, people, places, you got to stay obedient. Some of the other things that you can do, temptation will come this is the height of temptation, right? Because the enemy already knows God is about to take you into your due season. So of course, he don't want you there, right? You're going to be changing lives. You're going to be having access to things that you never thought you could. So of course he don't want you. So what do he do? He's going to send temptations of all temptations. There's going to be temptations that come to your life. Things will dangle over your head until the very last minute. And God may allow it to happen just for you can see how much he'll trust you. For example, since you guys like examples, let's just say, I don't know, you got a light bill this too. Tuesday by 5 o'clock. They done send you the letter. Tuesday, 5 o'clock, we're turning your lights off. But now you have no job, you have no nothing, you have no nothing. So now you're sitting there like, oh my goodness, there's no way. There is no physical way. I've asked everybody for the money. Nobody has the money. People who owe me money won't even pay me back. Like there is nothing. You've exhausted every single way of trying to figure out how you're going to pay this light bill. And now what's ringing in your head? That ex, the ex who you can call, he's going to always look out for you. He always got your back, right? He takes care of your children, even though they're not his children. But God have been clear and told you to leave this man alone because of whatever reason. Maybe he's trying to break a soul tie there. And he knows in order to promote you to due season, he has to break the soul tie because you can't break it. So he's told you in the middle of this, at the beginning of your storm, that this person here has to be released and you can't go back. But now Satan is dangling this light bill over your head. And now it's 4:30 p.m. and these people are going to turn your lights off at 5 o'clock. But now the struggle is, do I call this ex because I know I can get it from him or her? Or do I be obedient and trust what God says? Come on now. You're broken. You're lonely. You're sad. You're in the middle of the ocean. What is your mind going to sway towards? Trying to do it yourself because that's what you're used to. Right? God is still building your faith. So now it's 4:58. And there's still nothing. And God is sitting back watching this thing just to see if you're going to trust him. Are you going to be obedient? So if you choose to stay the faithful route, you know what's going to happen? See, God is supernatural. So no one may ever knock on the door and give you this, whatever, $100 and something for your light bill. But something will happen in the supernatural realm. For example, the individual that's on their way to turn your lights off, their vehicle broke down. Right? The utility truck, their vehicle broke down. Now they can't get nobody out here to jumpstart or whatever this vehicle until tomorrow. And within that process, by tomorrow, before they can get to you, somebody already gave you that money. God already supplied that money some kind of way. But you see the difference? It didn't happen in the physical. No one came and gave you the money to pay the light bill. It didn't happen in the physical. But in the supernatural, behind the scenes, because you decided to trust God, the truck broke down. The light's still on. And so now you build that level of some trust, some faith, obedience, all that stuff, right? So even though that's one small thing, what'll happen is he'll keep building on that. And the more and more he proves himself, then the more and more you will trust him. And then you will have no problem taking steps, even when it doesn't make sense, even when you can't see it. It's all about him building your trust, your obedience, because he's stripping you out of your ways and your fleshly ways of making things happen, because he's preparing you for due seasons. During this time, Satan's going to send everybody in your face who's being blessed. You're broke as a joke. You have nothing. Your self-esteem is to the floor. You feel like, now everybody, your family, your cousins, your whoever, best friends, your such as, everybody's getting blessed around you. And they're doing it the wrong way. So everything that you prayed for and you're waiting on, right? God hasn't released it to you yet. But Satan is bringing these people all in your face just to show you, you fool, you're sitting here waiting on God, and this person is getting this person is getting that, and that person. Listen, the best thing you can do, truly, is to be happy for these individuals. More so less of seeing it as motivation versus hating and throwing. Because remember now, if you're hating, you're throwing negative, that stuff comes back on you, period. Your energy needs to be pure. Your spirit has to be pure. You can't celebrate the person to the fullest extent, right? Because you're hurting yourself. You're hurting yourself during that time. But you want to see it as motivation. Like, wow, okay. So that means my turn is coming soon, right? That means that maybe this person has been in the down season, I don't know, a year ago, and I just didn't know about it. And now they're in due season. So I'm truly, truly happy for her, even though within me, it still is like that. Man, but I'm really still happy for her because I know my time will come. So don't be mean and don't throw that negative energy, please don't do that, because that stuff comes back on you and people don't even realize that you're holding up your own blessing because you can't even be happy for somebody else. All that stuff that goes on in that middle season, right? It is really more personal because, again, everybody is different. Some people have more trauma than others. So God has to basically, first of all, you're going to be teachable. There's no question about it, right? You're going to be teachable. There's no way around it. You're going to be teachable. But there's so much stuff that needs to be dug up, unlearned, right? Prep, all this stuff, but everybody's different because we all have a different, unique story. But ultimately, that you got to get to the point where you sit still. Everything that's happening, right? When things are being removed and stripped and this and that and this, really all it is designed really initially is to get you still enough where you can hear. And that means removing all distractions, regardless of what our little heart and our little emotions, say and want to do. And, once you get still, God can give you your downloads. Once you get your downloads, then now you know why you have to be transformed. Because if he's telling you, all right, in due season, I want to give you a husband, but all you saw was some old crazy toxic stuff all of your life. And you got all these toxic ways that you may have developed from the women who may have raised you or been around you, all them foolishness, maybe your aunties or whatever said, and don't ever trust a man and But God knows that he's about to send you a man that he chose specifically for you. And it's not your fault that you were taught certain things. Right? It's not your fault, but he has to transform you from all that thinking, which means, again, you have to unlearn the things you were taught and then have to be teachable. And then you're relearning, which you're going to ultimately want to run back because new things are uncomfortable, but you got to sit into the new thing and be intentional about sitting into the new thing until the new thing starts to feel comfortable. And before you know it, the old things will be uncomfortable. All right. So in due season, right? You're still in transformation season. Maybe God told you in due season, I want to give you a business. I want to give you a ministry. I want to give you this and that, right? But you didn't come from a family who knew anything about financial literacy. Respectfully, many families do not, right? They can only teach you what they know, period. It's nobody's fault. But now God chose you. So again, he has to change your whole mindset, because when you come from a mindset of that slavery mentality, right? it will exist. It will still exist until you leave here to meet Jesus, until God taps you and chooses to transform you, which is very uncomfortable because, again, you're used to doing things behind the, you're not used to moving with red tape, right? And now you have to learn all that stuff. There's so much stuff that has to be transformed depending on what God said he has for you in due season. So whatever he showed you in due season, do you think that if you've never been transformed, that you can go from the first do-it-yourself season to due season? There's a whole middle part that we're missing there. And that middle part is rough. And a lot of you are in that middle part right now because you're still fighting against it. Right? You're not swimming with the current, meaning it's uncomfortable, but I'm swimming this way, Lord, because I trust you. I'm going to be obedient. It's hard, but I'm going to trust you. So I'm swimming with this current. Instead, you're turning back and you're swimming against it because it feels very unnatural. And now the storm is lingering. But until you get to the point where you submit, I'm talking about 100%, regardless of what you feel, regardless of the tears, snot, whatever you got going on, until you drop like a boxer who just lost the final round, until you drop into submit to exactly what God wants to do, you will linger in that storm. Once you drop and throw your hands and say, you know what? At this point, it is what it is. Lord, do what you want to do because I don't know what I'm doing. Boom. The door opens. And when you finally arrive to due season, right? And again, that's not to say that life is perfect and, oh, no. That just means everything that you've been through in transformation season, you're going to be rewarded times 5 because you trusted him, right? Because you didn't turn back. In due season, you will get everything that you were always supposed to have. But it was locked. It was all locked away. Because you would not be able to receive until your mindset was transformed. This is going to be the time where people start to feel like you changed, because really you have, right? It's not a bad thing. But what you're going to have to, you're going to have to stand firm on knowing that that's okay. Because a lot of people feel like, and this happens a lot. How many rappers that went back and tried to, and the same people took them out, right? They're trying to go back and prove to people like, hey, I'm the same person, right? Never, ever, 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 ever feel guilty about your growth. Ever. Because if they're true friends, if they're friends or family or whoever, if they're true people, they will truly be so happy for you because they know at some point first of all, because they love you, but also because they know they will benefit from your growth at some point. But never, ever, ever feel guilty about your growth. But you will have those times where you feel like, can I just go back and hang with some old friends? Like, and you may have permission to do so. Who knows, right? But there will be times, especially because even within certain seasons, there's still like little small periods of delays for something, right? Like it might be another promise, but you still got to be transformed for that one little thing that maybe arises within the already due season. Meaning you're in due season, but now there's another blessing within due season, but you still got to be transformed for that thing because it could be something specific that maybe God didn't show you. And so now you got to take another little 9-month period to be transformed. And now you're back to, and it's like, can I just go back to my, nope. Nope. This is why the mindset has to be, without a doubt, how bad do you want it? Do you know how many people have aborted their own process to destiny because it was too hard, because it's hard. This is why most people don't make it to destiny seasons, because it's hard. So in order for you to really ride this thing out, wherever season you're in right now, my friends, right? I've been there. Trust me when I tell you. And I'm currently in due season, right? But remember, due season has its own, compartments and things like that. So it's not like you just one day arrive and boom. No. You're in due season, right? But there's still other stuff going on. You're still learning more. You're still hitting certain warfare. There's still stuff that goes on in destiny season. The difference is you now know what it is. You don't have to fight as hard because at this point you're already transformed. God have already proven himself to you in the transformation season that he fights your battles, right? So the mindset is different, right? Your obedience game is on fleek, but you're still getting hit. But it's just a different kind of hit. This time you know how to war in the spirit versus tiring your flesh out. And sometimes those spiritual battles are more fierce than physical battles. But once you get your foot in due season, when you just submit to wherever you're at now, once you get your foot into due season, at that point, all caps, no, there's no turning back. Where in transformation season, you really want to go back, right? So it's still that toss up of, should I go back there or should I keep going? No. Once your foot is in due season, there is no question. It's that mindset, Satan, you should have taken me when you had me, right? Because once you get to due season and you see it for what it really is, ain't no question. You ain't going back. You ain't going nowhere. You ain't, like you tell your man, you ain't going nowhere. You ain't going nowhere. But I just wanted to make this recording to encourage those of you because, like I said, with this young lady's email, it was amazing, and she was just complimenting me on so many different things, and I had to tell her, like, listen, sis, I appreciate you, but trust me, like, do you have a full 24 hours for me to sit down and I'm not going to do that, but I'm trying to make a point here. Do you have a full 24 hours for me to sit you down and tell you the things I had to endure, the seasons of transformation, the attacks, the war? Do you have time? Right? Because I never want anybody, and I think anybody who God is using, you should never want anybody to just see your life a certain way and for people to think that it just came all glory. Listen, personally, I know some successful people, in whatever way you even deem to be successful, I know them all. And let me tell you, not one of them have a story where they just woke up one day and they just went from high school or from college to just blessed. Honey, not one. There have been seasons of droughts. There were all kind of stuff hitting up against their marriage. They've been through hell and back. But because they allow God to transform them or even transform the situation, whatever it is they had going on, and they trusted, and then they were obedient to do whatever God called or required them to do, and they stood firm on these attacks, then eventually they made it to due season. So at least I don't know anybody who just went from boom to boom and it's got to skip a whole season of whatever. Now, honey, that's why you don't see a lot of people make it. Most people turn back because it's hard. So again, the question that I always ask, how bad do you want it? In my opinion, if you, okay, some people, in fact, all my life I had to fight mentality, right? If you've been somebody and you've been fighting since childhood for whatever thing, meaning your life was never ever smooth, Satan has always attacked. And with my chosen ones, that typically is the story, right? Satan has attacked you from childhood in whatever way up until your whole adulthood, right? You should want to get him back, right? You should. It's almost like you think I'm gonna just let you beat me all my life, and I'm not gonna get you back, right? So that should be the mindset. Like, I'm going to fight. I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to abort my transformation. I'm going to keep going. Even though I can't even see the light at the tunnel, I'm going to wake up and put one foot in front of the other every single day. I'm going to do exactly what God tells me to do. Even if I don't like it, even if I don't understand it, I'm going to do it because I know at boom, any given second, you don't see a way right now in that storm, but it can literally change, not overnight, but in a second. You can get a phone call right now as you are listening to this recording. I'm telling you, that's what happened to me, right? It's not like you start to see the door about to open. No, it's you in the middle of the storm, fully submitted at this point, broken but submitted. And then at any given point, when God realized you have asked for the message, because of course we know in every storm there's a message. I always tell people, if you're in a storm, you have to physically ask God, what is the message in the storm? There's always a message in the storm. There's always a message, and there are different messages for different storms. You have to ask God, what is the message? What am I missing here? What do you need me to know? Please give me the message. Because I feel like once you get the message, then the storm ends. It's about getting you the message. Ask, Lord, what is the message and what can I do? What can I do? But seriously, my friends, I wanted to encourage somebody because when I read through her email, it just kind of put me back in. I don't know. We in 2022? I think my storm was maybe like 2015. I think from 2013 to 2015 or 16. A couple of years. Some of you guys have been in the storm for way longer, right? But I do believe I could have shortened my own storm if I only knew. If someone had said to me, ask what is the message, right? But instead I kept fighting to go back because I didn't know what he was doing. God is trying to give you better, my friends. Your heart is breaking over a relationship that is so toxic and so unhealthy only because you have a soul tie, only because you don't even know what the healthy relationship or a healthy marriage is. So if God snatched them, right? Let's just say, I don't know, they're not answering the phone, or maybe they left you for somebody else, or something happened where it's cut off and your heart is breaking because you feel like this person is just everything you could never imagine. It's because you've never been exposed to healthy relationships. And all along, God is snatching this, sending you an isolation transformation season to help you unlearn why you're even dealing with somebody like this. What is it about you that allows you to even deal with somebody who's treating you like this? So then that's when he's exposing you to things. Then he is reshaping you for the correct person in due season. But you're sitting there now feeling like you're about to lose your mind because this thing is not working out. And all along, it's God wanting to give you something better. You're losing your mind because you lost that job. They don't appreciate you. They could call you 9 o'clock at night and you put in your clothes and you will go to work because you're that loyal. So you think God is not going to reward you for being a loyal person? Right? So you see how we want to see the individual or the things that we're loyal to. We think they will reciprocate it. And in fact, these people don't care about you at the job. But God saw your loyalty. God saw your heart. So it's going to be God who snatches you, because you're thinking it's punishment and God is snatching you from the place because he knows they don't honor and value you, right? So he's stopping that because he know you could never walk away from it, because here you're thinking like, oh, I can't never get another job because I'm older or I'm this and that. Okay, so he's putting it to an end for you because you can't put it to an end for yourself. Right? And so what's happening? You're focusing on the hurt, the betrayal. So what happens when we're hurt like that, all we see is the hurt. We can't even see the why. We only see the hurt. So your mind is pondering about all the nights that they called you and you showed up. All the times that other employees called out and they called you and you got up, and that's what your mind is staying on. Versus the why. It had to happen in order for God to to get you prepared for what he has for you. So, all right, he snatched you from the job. Now he have you in a little small transformation storm. First thing, what is it about you? You, not the job. What is it about you that's allowing you to allow a job to take advantage of you? Why do these people have this kind of access to you and there's no boundaries? Are you moving from a people-pleasing seed? You can't tell them, no, I'm not coming in, because you're afraid they're going to be mad. Things that back from childhood, you think they're going to be mad with you. You think they're going to reject you. If you don't tire yourself out and try to prove yourself with your loyalty, and they don't even lawyer you to begin with. So now when God get finished with you in that transformation little storm, guess what's going to happen next time? You're going to demand your price. You're not going to tell me what you're going to pay me. Here's my price. If you can't meet it, you can't meet it, period. Because now I know what I bring to the table, right? You use me and you abuse me. And see, that's the whole thing. You don't even realize how people take advantage of you, right? Paying you scraps or trying to give you you don't even realize it because you don't know who you are. But once God elevates you and you know your price and your worth, you will look back and you will realize how these people literally treated you like a slave all along. And now God is going to elevate you where you now demand your price, period. So you see, I don't know why this is going on and on and on and on, but I feel somebody, right? I can see like well, I won't get into all that, but I feel it. One, you are really, really in tune to this message. I can't even let it go, right? So anyway, that's a job. That's a job. I said relationship. Yes, that's it. So guys, be encouraged. Again, please know that there is nobody, at least not that I know, who have made it to what you think is a arrived season and they didn't go through hell and back in order to get there. Also, please know that even if there's somebody that you feel like is in a season of abundance or a due season or a season of reap, whatever you deem the term to be, please understand that there's those struggles in that season as well, right? Some people just choose not to tell you every 2 minutes that they go through a storm, right? They're too busy trusting God. They're too busy fasting. They're too busy. So people go, I know what I did. I still go through things, right? I still go through things. People tell me all the time, oh, I admire you, like my staff and things like that. I admire your strength. I admire you as a person. I admire you as this, and I tell them all the time. I appreciate you and I receive it. Trust me when I tell you, but I tell them all the time, it's only the grace of God. It's the grace of God, but most importantly, please understand, God don't have no favors. If you want the things that God has for you, right, for you, get ready to fight because you're going to go through hell and back. But those of you who refuse to fight, you refuse to get in the mud, then please stop hating on people who got into the mud. Because nothing came easy, right? So stop hating on people because Half of the stuff that you think you want from a person's life, it'll crack your back like a lobster. You couldn't even handle that heavy weight if someone just shifted the weight to you today. It would crack your back like a lobster, literally, because you're not designed to carry it. What's for you is for you, but you still got to go through hell and back to get it. So allow God to transform you. That's where you are. If you're in that season, you just sit, avoid all distractions, all temptations, submit, ask God, what is the message? What can I be doing to help shorten this storm? And once you've done everything you can do, just stand, because the door will, boom, open when you least expect it. It's your turn.